A few moments later.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Rizky Dwi Anggraini. You can call me Kiki. I'm a student of Agribusiness Study Program, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Trunojoyo Madura, with student ID number is 091. In this video, I will explain about how is taxes, how many function of taxes, how many types of taxes, analyze how's the implementation of taxes in a company. I am this video to my final semester exams for law and business ethics courses. So, without any further ado, let's get started. What is taxes? According to some experts. First, according to Mr. Mardiasmo in 2016, taxes are contributions that are paid by the people to the state. That is included in the executing state treasury the law, and its implementation can be forced retaliation suffices. And then, according to Professor Rahmat Sumitro in 2013, taxes are people's contribution to the state treasury based on the law without getting arising suffices that can be demonstrated and used immediately to pay for general expenses. So, based on the understanding of tax by several experts, it can be concluded that tax is a compulsory public contribution to the state treasury, which is compelling in nature for a return that is not directly felt by the public and is used for state purposes. And then, how many functions of taxation? The answer is 4. The first function is budget. Taxes serve as a source of fund earmark for financing government spending. Example, the tax is in the state expenditure budget as a domestic revenue. The second function is regulator. Taxes serve as a tool for implementing policies in the social and economic field. For example, subject to high taxes against booze and other luxury items. The third function is redistribution. The redistribution function is more than unequal and unequal supply justice in society. The function can be seen from the tariff layer in the possession of taxes. In the present, a higher tax rate for a higher stage. And the last function is democracy. Taxes in a democratic function are a system of mutual cooperation. Function this with government services to the public pays tax. And then, how many types of taxation? The answer is 5. And the first line is income tax, and then value added tax or VAT, and then sales tax on luxury goods, and then stamp duty, and the last, land and building tax. Okay, I will explain about what is income tax. Income tax is a tax imposed on an individual or entity on income received or earned in the tax year. And the subject of income tax is divided into two, namely domestic and foreign taxpayers. And the income tax object is any income received or obtained by a taxpayer. Okay, the second tax is value added tax or VAT. The subject of VAT is individuals or institutions based on statutory regulation deliver and receive taxable goods or services. And the object is, in simple terms, VAT objects are grouped into two, namely the taxable goods and taxable services. And then is sales tax on luxury goods. The subject of this tax is a taxable entrepreneur who produces taxable goods classified as luxury within the company or work environment, and an entrepreneurship who imports luxury goods. This object about this tax is, first, items that are not essential. Second, goods consumed to the indicated status. And third, goods consumed by certain people. And the last, goods generally consumed by people with high income. the document, unless the parties concerned specify otherwise. And the object is, first, a letter of agreement or others, and second is notary deed, and then land deed, and then securities, and then evidentiary documents, and the last is statement of the amount of money. So, in the last tax is land and building tax. The subject of this tax is person or entity that actually has right over the land, benefits from the land, owns control over, and receives benefits over the building. And the objects of this tax is object for land and building tax are the land and building thereof. In the next session, I will explain about how to apply taxes in a company. But before we move on to the next session, I want you to take a look at the company profile of the limited liability company, Sensatia Botanicals. Sensatia Botanicals, founded in a small fishing village of Jasri, Karangasem, Bali in 2000. Sensatia Botanicals arose from the desire to create healthy skincare products that contain pure and natural ingredients. It began with just a small crew creating handmade, cold-processed coconut oil soaps, and it wasn't long before the company was receiving requests for other products. Thus began Sensatia Botanicals' evolution into the internationally renewed brand it's today. From the beginning, Sensatia Botanicals has aimed to be much more than just a skincare brand. It started as a profit-sharing corporation with the goals of empowering the local community and siphoning a small portion of the world's affluence into a much deserving village on the east coast of Bali. To this day, 20% of revenue still go directly to employees. Moreover, Sensatia Botanicals aims to maintain sustainability and have as little impact on the environment as possible. Sensatia Botanicals creates clean and simple, yet wonderfully rich products made with high quality, cruelty-free raw materials carefully sourced from reputable, sustainable-minded individuals and companies. No chemicals, artificial substances, or synthetics are used in the product, and every material is tested in the Sensatia Botanicals lab before processing. Finished products go through a quality control center before leaving the facility to ensure they meet strict standards and specifications. Sensatia Botanicals now has over 300 products registered with the National Agency for Drug and Food Control, and are proud to be the first and only cosmetic company in Bali that is Good Manufacturing Practice certified. This means the company can track and trace every single material that has ever entered or left the facility. In addition, every ingredient is registered with the Ministry of Religious Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia to maintain official halal certification. In this session, I will explain about the income tax of limited liability company Sensatia Botanicals. Sensatia Botanicals prefers to use an accrual basis for the method recognition of company revenues and expenses. When revenues and expenses are recognized at the time of the transaction, even though no payment has been made for the transaction. In 2012, Sensatia Botanicals drives its fiscal net income figures amounting to 177 million rupiah, and there was a positive fiscal correction of 44 million rupiah, the amount of corporate taxpayers' income tax that must be paid. So, by using tax management, tax-based income can be minimized by doing tax planning as following. First, the cost of replacing employee credit is transferred to an allowance communication. The total cost of replacing credit in the amount of 5 million rupiah was given to director, commissioner, head of administration, head of packaging, and company driver. Employee credit replacement costs can only be paid for 50%, so it's necessary to make a positive fiscal correction of 2 million rupees. If the company transfers this cost in the form of allowance to employees, the allowance can be fully disbursed deduction from the company's gross income, because the allowance is an additional income for employees that is included in the salary component employee. And then, the cost of income tax Article 21 is transferred into the form of tax allowance. The tax allowance provided to employees is the amount of income tax 21, payable to the directors and commissioners after providing communication allowance to employees. Providing income tax allowance to company directors and commissioners causing income tax payable for directors and commissioners also experience enhancement. The excess amount of the outstanding income tax will be paid later shortcomings by the individual taxpayer, who is concerned by means of deducted from the salary of its taxpayer, so that the company will only provide tax allowance in the amount of income tax 21 payable by employees before it is given additional income in the form of tax allowance. Donation fees are donated to a legitimate institution designed by Director General of Taxes, according to government regulation in 2012. Contribution fee is submitted to the institution appointed by Director General of Taxes, according to government regulation in 2012. Limited liability company Sensatia Botanicals contribute 19 million rupees to village, temples, and banjars. In the implementation of the tax obligation of the company have complied with the taxation provisions right, namely by, first, comply with all administrative requirements. Sensatia Botanicals has complied with all tax administrative requirements. Well, where Sensatia Botanicals has completed the notification letter, corporate income tax correctly, completely, and clearly in Indonesian by using Latin letters, the unit of the rupiah's currency, and signing as well submitted to the Office of Director General of Taxes in accordance with what has been listed in Law Number 28 of 2007 concerning general provisions and procedures taxation. And then implementing all provisions of laws and regulation effectively. In general, Sensatia Botanical has done everything effectively, provision of laws and regulations relating to implementation corporate taxpayers. But Sensatia Botanicals yet make effective use of the gaps in the laws and regulation taxation to make taxpayer income tax efficiency against it through tax planning effort. Tax control of Sensatia Botanicals after applying management. Tax control aims to ensure that the tax application has been implemented in accordance with what has been planned to be sure. Thus, the company can conduct a tax review internally against calculation and tax report along with their books to minimize mistakes that can lead to tax sanction in the future. Errors that occur due to errors can then be corrected itself by the company. Correction made by the taxpayer can minimize the sanction received compared to if the errors. found during a tax audit by the Director General of Taxes. Besides this step, what the company can do control its taxes by perform routine tax equalization calculation. Tax equalization, simple, is an examination of the level of balance between one type of tax with other related taxes.